Kia ora e hoa ma. I'm Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar.nz, and I've changed my plan on the video that I was going to have ready for you because of things that happened in Aotearoa this week, and I decided instead to talk about some of the astrology that has been going on for the last 2 years and how that is playing out in our country. So this is world astrology or mundane astrology, looking at politics and global level things rather than so much how things affect us on the personal level, though all of these things are also playing out in our personal lives. So I'm going to talk more about the big planets, not so much about what Venus and Mercury and the Sun and Mars and the Moon are doing. I'm going to talk about the outer planets because those ones have a big effect on us in a slow but very strong way. They affect us generationally. They affect us powerfully, but it takes a long time to notice the effects. And we're right in some big planet action. So I'm recording this in March, but like I said, this is a little bit more general, covering a longer period of time. And I think everyone could agree, no matter what side of the pro-protest, anti-mandate, pro-mandate, anti-protest, whichever way you go, I think we can all agree that our world is not going to be the same by the end of this. And so I'm going to explain some of the astrological influences that are affecting that. So I'm going to go back to 2020. And for years before 2020, astrologers were talking about this big thing happening in Capricorn, and that was to do with Pluto. So Capricorn is about hierarchical structures, order, the way that things are organized, and it comes with top-down authority. And Pluto has been in Capricorn for years and gradually dismantling things. Pluto transforms it, destroys things so that they can rebuild. But this work of Pluto was really accelerated in 2020 because there were these big and very, very unusual, like once in every 500 year, conjunctions with Saturn and Jupiter early in the year. And that is when we found our world stopped, everything slowed down. Capricorn is an earth sign and things move slowly with earth, and Capricorn is probably the slowest earth sign in some ways. So that's what happened in 2020. And then at the end of 2020 in December, finally, after all that slowness and the lockdowns and things moving at snail's pace, Jupiter and Saturn moved into the next sign, which is Aquarius. And this was regarded as part of the dawning of the age of Aquarius and this new world that we are going into. The reason why this conjunction was seen as so important, a great conjunction, is not just these two joining up because they do every 13 years. It was because it came on the back of those earlier Capricorn conjunctions, and also the significance of the degree, which was 0 degrees of Aquarius, and it was right on summer solstice for us, winter solstice for the Northern Hemisphere. Okay. So that movement into Aquarius set off the birthing planes of our new world, whatever our new world is going to be. So the birthing pains came with a square between those two in Aquarius and Uranus, another big and slow planet in Taurus. So Uranus and Saturn were the main ones in this square. A square is always uncomfortable and tense, and also Saturn and Uranus do not get on very well. So Uranus is about new ideas, freedom, innovation, the masses, the general population, and what does the general population want, which is often freedom, even revolutionary ideas. Whereas Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, and that comes with its order, structure, tradition, all these traditional conservative ways of doing things. So this is why we're seeing this friction between those who want order and things to be tidy and orderly and structured with top-down hierarchical structures versus this messy, wild, seeking freedom, mass population movements. So that's been going on all over the world, often on the same issues, but other issues coming in as well. And this square has affected us all last year, and it carries on to this year, 2022. So this year, the square is more dynamic, and that is for a few reasons. So things will be moving faster. We're already seeing that, obviously. Things are moving fast. That's going to carry on this year. We will have, so Jupiter's moved into Pisces, and Jupiter and Saturn had been kind of stuck together for the last 2 years. So now Jupiter can do its own thing a lot more. And the other thing is that the eclipse points have just moved into Taurus, and they'll be with Uranus. And the eclipse points act quite similarly to Uranus. So sudden changes can happen, unexpected events where things can be turned around within a day of your life. And Uranus can work like that as well. So dynamic. What is going to set things off, and what set things off this last week in our country, where we had the police go in on the protest, and the protest ended in its form in Wellington, and that was Mercury going across Saturn, and I mentioned this in the new moon video. So what happens every year, the Sun and Mercury and Venus, they never are far from each other, and they go around the zodiac. And over the last couple of months, they've gone through Capricorn, and now the Sun's already gone through Aquarius, and very shortly Venus and Mars will be in Aquarius. So Mercury's gone through there. As they go through, they kick off, or they trigger whatever is happening with the big planets. So earlier in this year, in the first part of this year, up until, say, I think April, the personal planets are going across Saturn. Then they'll go through Pisces. Later on in the year, they'll be going across Uranus and Taurus and the eclipse points, and we'll see lots of dynamic action at that stage. Okay. Don't worry, we've got something that's going to help. I'm going to talk about something that will help. So don't feel too depressed by this or too worried. Okay. So one of the most, and perhaps the most significant event of this year is that in April, Jupiter comes together with Neptune, and I may have mentioned this in the new moon video. This is a magical time. It's in the sign of Pisces, which is about compassion, imagination, dreams, love, universal love. And Neptune is about that, and Jupiter expands it, and Jupiter is benevolent, and we can bring all this together, and I think we will feel really magical in April, in that middle part of April when this conjunction happens. So I believe that we have been given this Neptune-Jupiter Pisces energy of love and compassion for two reasons. One, to the tension, bring compassion and universal love. So where your friendship groups have been split apart, where you're feeling really uncomfortable with colleagues, where families have been split apart, and even partners, husbands and wives, bring the compassion, bring the magic, patience, empathy. Remember that. Me too, I need to remember this as well. The second way that we can use the power of that Neptune-Jupiter conjunction, and even after the conjunction, Neptune is still in Pisces and Jupiter is in Pisces for a lot of the year. So we still have that energy flowing. we can use this to manifest the new world that we want. We are now taking our first little steps into this new world. We're starting to work things out. Long road ahead. What do we want? Pisces and Jupiter and Neptune, especially together, they are very powerful for dreaming and envisioning. Sit down and draw the world that you want. Talk about it. Dream about it. Who do you want to be in your world? How would you like us to relate together? How do we organize our resources? How could this be best done so that everyone is served and everyone feels connected, counted, cared for, loved, included? How can we make this a better world? So there we go, everyone. What a big week that was. And all the best for envisioning a new world. Hei konara, ka kite. Ka aroha kia koutou.